Algorand Foundation CTO John Woods made an appearance on Bitboy Crypto Show yesterday. And in fact, he did a really good job. Today, we're going to react to that. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the appearance and how it went. And I'm going to give you some clips of it too on today's Frugal BC. What's up, guys? Frugal VC, welcome back to the show. Today, we are breaking down the Algorand Foundation CTO's John Woods appearance on Bitboy Crypto. It was a really good appearance. I think a lot of people in the Algorand community were really happy about this appearance, and he really laid out some great points about Algorand. I think he's become interesting enough, he's become one of the best spokespersons for Algorand. And his job is supposed to be the technical side. That's what's really crazy. There's some stuff, I've pulled out a couple clips. There's a few things that he's talking about that I think are really important. So we're going to react to some of those today. And interesting enough, I've noticed a change in how some of the bigger creators are talking about Algorand. I've noticed in the last probably 6 months, I've seen a lot of the bigger crypto channels like Altcoin Daily and Bitboy Crypto talking about Algorand. Now you'll see and hear that his involvement, he had some involvement with Algorand from pretty much from day one. But I used to watch a lot of Bitboy Crypto on his daily show. I watched it almost every day, and I didn't see a lot of mention about Algorand. Interesting that now they're mentioning it more when it's further down in the market cap table. It was up in the 20s, and it would routinely get ignored, and I never really understood it. So, but I'm really glad they're talking about it now. I think well, everything that John says in here is just spot on. So why don't we get to the first clip? I've got 2 of them that I pulled out for you. Let's watch those, and then I'll give you some of my comments.
Well, this is going to sound kind of weird. I kind of fell in love with Silvio Micali. Like, okay, I don't mean in a weird way. He's the he's the godfather of cryptography.
He is. He's amazing. You know, I've met him a bunch of times in person, and most recently at Paris Blockchain Week, we hung out together a little bit. And he really is just a gentleman. He's like an old Italian gentleman, very experienced, and he's of course brought so much value to the world of cryptography. Right? He's just really the father of modern zero knowledge proofs and all this stuff that all these blockchains are built on. Right? He was one of the inventors or co-inventors of.
To me, that's why Algorand can't fail. Like, people have to understand, Silvio has been doing cryptography longer than most blockchain CEOs have been alive.
Yes, this is exactly it. And so here, you know, here's the thing, Bitboys. Like, I actually feel like the biggest problem Algorand's had is not like the crypto chops or the engineering chops or like, you know, the skill with all the geeky stuff, right? Because we have that stuff nailed. The technology's best in class. We have like some of the people who invented this whole scene, right? Like honestly, Silvio's like the Snoop Dogg of crypto, right?
Yeah.
Our problem is that we just didn't get the message out to people to understand this stuff. And so, you know, one of the things I'm trying to do, and I'll never be as brilliant as Silvio is, but one of the things I'm trying to do right now is educate folks so they understand this stuff, to talk to people about the technology in a simple way. And also, as I mentioned at the start of the show, or sorry, the start of my segment, is make it easier to use.
So what I love about what John Wood says here is he really nails the core problem with Algorand, because on the tech side, it really does have it nailed. And the reason my channel focuses so much on Algorand is because that tech side is solid. When you use it, it is just so simple to use. Most of the dApps work when you use them, and they tend to be more, from my experience, they tend to be more user-friendly than most other chains, and I still think that today. And you know, the transaction costs are so inexpensive that you can do this stuff. You actually rarely ever have a failed transaction, but if you did, I mean, you're losing like 0.001 algo. It's so inexpensive that you can actually use it. And he makes an important point about the TPS. We're going to see that in the next clip. And I also feel the same way about Silvio Micali, by the way. Hearing him speak at Decipher absolutely was one of the top 3, if not the top, you know, things about Decipher for me for going there. Like, hearing him speak was really inspirational. One of the things I could never understand is like, well, why isn't everybody using Algorand? It just seems to work so much better than the other chains. Like, it's still probably my best experience and from a user's perspective on any of the chains I've tried, possibly with the exception of Near Protocol. I think Near Protocol does it right. And John does mention that in the interview. Not in any of the clips that I pulled out, but you should go check out the full interview on Bitboy's channel. It's give it a like, give it the support because I think it deserves it. He highlights this key problem. It's like, how do you get the word out? Like the Algorand did a really bad job of getting that message out, but also part of it is people just don't care about the tech. The geeky people, and like he says, we get the geeky stuff right. Only geeky people are going to care about the tech side of it. It's just like most Apple users don't care about what's going on in the guts of iPhone. There are super users that absolutely care. They're Apple geeks from day one that were like obsessed with the details. But to be successful, you have to move beyond that. And so not everyone that's using ETH cares about crypto technology. They care about the memes that are going on. They care about the Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or the crypto punks or whatever. And Algorand, I don't think yet has its crypto punk. There's some great Algorand NFT projects, but none of them have that. What do I have to do to get this? Everyone's talking about this. I got to have it too. What's this Algorand? Whatever, just sign me up and walk me through it so I can get it. Nothing in Algorand has that yet. And I think that's one of the key things that will bring people over. Talking about marketing, I know Adam Bergman talks a lot about marketing on his channel. There's been a lot of excitement about the new marketing director. We'll see. I'm not knocking the new director. I think she comes from a great background, but I think crypto the marketing comes from the outside. Does that make sense? So with crypto, it tends to be like that meme culture that builds that mimetic contagion, so if you will, tends to build on its own. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does build. Maybe there is more design into its building than I'm aware of, but it seems to be something that happens more organically. And how do you spark that? I think you just need projects that are so exciting and offer something unique that people have to go do it. Anyway, that's one of them. Let's get to the next clip because I think there's some interesting stuff in here too.
Algorand is a layer one blockchain, but it's doing things a little bit different. What is it that makes Algorand different from other layer one blockchains like Ethereum or Cardano?
Right. So people flex on these kind of things all the time, but I'm going to give you the reality of it. Algorand security is best in class. It uses this pure proof of stake consensus mechanism, which uses Silvio Micali's verifiable random functions. And that's a lot of words. But what it really means is to defraud Algorand, you'd have to have this enormous majority of the coins. And so whilst the algo token is distributed to people who are holding it on a majority basis who are honest, it is literally mathematically impossible for Algorand to have a security incident, right? So the consensus mechanism is secure because of the people that are holding it. And so if we move then to its next virtue is in terms of its speed. Algorand, you might look at a lot of chains quote TPS, like they flex on TPS.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got 80,000 TPS, 100,000 TPS. Algorand's TPS is just under about 10,000. But here's the critical thing. What Algorand can do in those 10,000 TPS can blow away some of the chains that have 50,000 TPS because Algorand gets more done per transaction than some of the other chains. In Algorand, every single transaction per second goes towards doing useful work, not doing things like consensus. And this is critical. And then what builds on that, I talked about the VRF, what Silvio came up with for consensus. This allows us to have a chain that never has any short forks. Now, this is a bit technical, but in a lot of blockchains out there, Cardano, where I used to work, Ethereum, where I used to work as well, Polygon, all these different chains, they can suffer from this kind of breaking consensus for a second where there's two chains that are kind of competing and then one of them dies away. And it's all good. But what happens if you're on one of those chains that dies away, you have to replay your transaction. So people will be using Ethereum. Sometimes their transaction gets reverted. They got to replay it. Well, Algorand doesn't have that. So when you're building apps in Algorand or you send money to your friends or someone else, that person receives it and you don't have to worry it's going to get rolled back. It's just done in 3 seconds. Yeah. And so these are critical things. And then finally, Algorand is cheap and it's green, man, because the whole network right now is using about as much electricity as a charging Tesla is, right? So it's a really good story. And like I said at the start, the only thing that we have a problem with is getting people to understand just how great it is.
So this is a really important point because I know a lot gets made about the TPS, and while I think consensus is valuable, consensus happens in a different way on Algorand. So when you're doing transactions, they're actually being put to work and unforkable, which means when you send a transaction, it's going to go through. And the only time I've had a transaction not work is because of something on my end, like you have to keep a certain amount of Algorand in your wallet for the fees, and that's a whole nother issue. We could talk about that. Or something is happening with the platform, but I've never like lost money on Algorand because the transaction failed, or I've never had it revert. And the thing is, if something does happen, in like, since the finality is under 4 seconds, I've heard now it's down to like 3.2. I haven't verified that myself, but it's at least 3.7 seconds. So under 4 seconds, pretty quick, this stuff happens. Right away if something didn't work. By contrast, when I bought my NFT for Townstar, I made the sale go through. By the way, 2 sets of fees, and they're really expensive. It was like, what did I pay, like $30 or $40 in Ethereum, something like that, to make this transaction? Like, how they ever thought this would be scalable. But anyway, made the transaction, went to my jiu-jitsu class, which is like an hour and a half plus like 35 minutes both ways to get there. So we're talking like 2-3 hours. Still wasn't done right away. It actually finished after I got, like, probably 20 or 30 minutes after I got home. That's how long it took just to buy an NFT, right? On Algorand, this is like that. So again, this is why I'm so confused. And it really shows the value, the power of network effect, because frankly, Ethereum is operating entirely on network effect, right? Just because there's such a big user base, that means developers want to go to that user base. So and then that gives more users incentive to go to the network. So I think one of the things that Algorand is doing well is they're funding these startups, because the more projects on Algorand, the more that draws people to Algorand, hopefully. But then of course these guys all have to spend marketing dollars on to get people over, which, by the way, I'm just a little surprised. I get a lot of crypto sponsorship deals come in my inbox, especially as I've been growing, and I've gotten like one Algorand one so far and it fell through. And that's the one I probably would have taken. Not gonna say who it was. I don't want to call people out, but so I think when we talk about marketing too, that's an important point. I think it's not just like the Algorand Foundation themselves. I think these projects that are building, frankly, should be spending it. My inbox should be flooded with Algorand projects. I'm one of the bigger Algorand creators out there. I mean, there's Bergman's bigger, Coop is bigger. There's a couple others that I'm pretty close with, but I'm doing videos every 3 times a week. I mean, I've got a growing audience. Like, frankly should be getting offers. And when I say that, not just for my own sake, although that would be nice, but my point is, like, these guys should be spending money on marketing to get the word out about their project. The fact that it isn't happening shows me that I think companies just aren't including marketing enough on their projects. Anyway, I'm just going to put that out there. So yeah, it's like I said, I think John, the video is worth watching in whole. I've just given you a couple clips, and they're clips that I think are really good and important. But you for sure should go check out the video on Bitboy's channel. I will have a link in the description for that. Like I said, I think Bitboy did a good job at the interview. Maybe could have asked a couple tougher questions about the marketing, the reach, and some of the price stuff that, like, DZ and I talked about. And DZ is from Bitboy Crypto's channel. He has been on. He hosts Around the Blockchain. They've now separated that out into its own channel. And we had some really good points about its price potential and some of the stuff that's gone wrong with Algorand. So I mean, he could have probably asked a couple tougher questions, but I really do think John Woods has really become the de facto spokesperson for Algorand. I mean, he's the guy, and it was stuff that's coming, like AlgoKit and one-click nodes. I'm really looking forward to that. If that one-click node comes out, I'm very seriously going to look into doing one, and kind of it might be like a cool experiment for the channel. So an AlgoKit, I didn't even think about. They talked about not just like for projects, but you can actually develop NFT projects with the one-click, with the AlgoKit, so which is supposed to make things really, really simple. So I'm really looking forward to that coming out. I think there's some good stuff in the future for Algorand, and I think Algorand Foundation should be thanking its lucky stars they got John on board, because he just generates excitement. I don't know what it is. I've been trying to put my finger on it exactly, but he's well spoken. I think he seems relatable. I did meet him at the Cypher. He was very nice to me. We didn't get to set up an interview, which was a bummer, but it's a busy day. I get it. And I think we're all pretty exhausted. So anyway, like I said, go watch the video. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Not your keys, not your crypto. Get your stuff off those exchanges as much as possible. Safest way to do it is with a Ledger account. And as always, I will see you in the future.